of your screen. Please refrain from using the chat and raise your hand features. We will not be responding to these types of inquiries, so please stick with the Q&A feature. We will be recording the event tonight. Rick is taking care of that for us. And tomorrow it will be posted to our website along with the PowerPoints that you see tonight. Any links you see in this presentation tonight will be accessible on the online PowerPoint. So what I recommend at this time is that, so that you can easily find our website, is either to take a screenshot of what we have up right now or a picture of the screen. That way you can utilize the website address right here and have it ready to go to access all that information. We will give you a sneak peek of the website at the end of our presentation tonight. The length of the webinar is 2 hours, and even though it's long, it's going to cover a wealth of information on the application process for the UC, CSU, California Community Colleges, and the FAFSA DREAM Act. I also want to point out that the Tulare County Office of Education will be holding their annual college night in a virtual platform this year. I'd like to encourage you to register as soon as possible, and that's right there at the bottom is your screen. Excuse me one second. Let me introduce our participants, our presenters tonight. From UC Merced, we have Elizabeth Lopez and Iona Nee. For the CSU system from Fresno State, we have Maribel Balea and Kim Self. From the California Community College, we have Brenda Contreras. From COS's Financial Aid Office, we have David Lovren, Liv Henry, and Madison Jones. I'll be covering the common application and application tips with Melissa Garcia, the Learning Director from El Diamante, fielding the Q&A at that time. And many thanks to our interpreters, Mary, Vanessa, and Alma, who will be answering the Q&A in Spanish. One thing I'd like to stress to all of our families tonight is the californiacolleges.edu. All of our high school students have accounts with california.edu, and we would like our students to launch all their college applications from this website. That includes the UC application, the CSU application, the community college, and the FAFSA and DREAM Act. This is going to do a couple things for them. By launching your application from the californiacolleges.edu, it's going to allow you to, when you roll over, it's going to take your classes, your A to G classes that are on your VUSD transcript, and it's going to automatically populate your college application with the classes and the grades. The classes that you took in summer school at COS will have to be hand entered, but otherwise all of your other courses will roll over. The other benefit it has is your counselors and learning directors are going to be able to track your applications. So they're going to be able to take a quick look if you're applying to a UC or a CSU or community college, or if you've started your FAFSA. And with these days of COVID, when we're at home and you're not having that opportunity to be in your counselor's office, this is going to be a great tool to have your counselors know where you are in the process to be able to reach out to you. So again, you're going to go to www.californiacolleges.edu. You use your VUSD email to log on and your student ID number as your password. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into our presentations tonight. We're going to start with the UC system, and that will be with Elizabeth Lopez and Iona Nee. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to their presentation.
Hello, good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. My name is Iona Nee, and I am the Assistant Director of Domestic Recruitment at the Undergraduate Office of Admissions at the University of California, Merced. And I have a pleasure of also introducing your regional representative, Elizabeth.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Lopez. I'm representing South Central Valley. So I am your representative if you have any questions about the UC system as well as UC Merced.
Great, thank you. So today's presentation is a brief overview of the University of California, and Elizabeth and myself will make every effort to answer all of your questions. There is a lot of information, so as Paige mentioned earlier, this presentation is available So the University of California is the #1 public research institution in the nation. We opened up in 1868, and we have 9 beautiful campuses located throughout the beautiful state of California. As you can see, UC Merced, our campus is the closest to you all here in Visalia, roughly 2 hours up north. And we have a lot of campuses up north, so a few down south, as well as some in the middle. And really what makes the University of California unique is our public education, our research, and our teaching. So what I mean by research is a lot of things that you all utilize every single day has probably been patented or invented at the UC system. For example, who here uses the internet? We all do, right? So one of our older campuses, UCLA, they actually invented the internet along with Stanford University by sending the first email. What about my campus, UC Merced? We are the leader in drone activity in the UC system, and being that we're one of the youngest and newer UC campuses, we're the leader in solar energy as well in the UC system. So research is really vague, I know, for many students. What that means is when you come to UC, you have the opportunity to engage in research with the experts in their field. For example, UC Berkeley, they created or invented like a good portion of the periodic table that you've all learned in chemistry. So how do you choose a UC campus? You're like, a lot of your campuses are beautiful. You can do next slide, please. So because you have 9 awesome options, many of you are wondering, how do I choose where to apply? So the University of California is just one application, our own application, part of the UC application. So it is not part of the common application. So it's just one application, and you just check mark whichever campuses you are interested in. You do not rank them or prioritize them. So what this means is when you apply to our system, we all are assuming that we are your first choice. So when you apply to UC, we do not communicate or collaborate on your admissions decision. So every campus you apply to has an independent decision of how we review your application. So there are really 3 main factors in what makes each campus unique. So there are over 700 majors offered collectively in the UC system. So you're like, how do I determine which is the right one? So every campus will have your most popular majors like computer science, engineering, psychology, biology, management, and business economics, but some campuses or some majors are not offered everywhere. So for example, if you're interested in nursing, Renaissance studies, jazz studies, they may not be offered everywhere. So it's really good to put your best foot forward and research which each campus offers. So do not apply based on reputation, but really apply based on what the campus can offer you. Next is location. If you're looking to be near the beach, we have a lot of campuses located off the seaside cliffs. You have some campuses like UC Merced that are a little bit more inland, more rural. So it really just varies if you're looking for more of an urban setting or a smaller college town feeling. Next slide, please. So this is a nice snapshot of our undergraduate student profile. So at the University of California, over 80% of our students are California residents, and almost half are first generation, so first in their family to attend college. And 1/3 of our students are coming from the California community colleges. So we show you these numbers because this shows that we do prioritize to serve our California students. Next slide, please. So academic engagement. At UC, we're all about student life because when you come to UC, you're going to be more than a scholar. I apologize, everyone. Gripes of working.
Okay, we're having a slight pause. She'll rejoin us in just a moment.
Sorry, everyone. Thank you. Again, as I mentioned, working from home. So at UC, we are all about academic engagement. So as you can see, over half of our students are engaged in some kind of internship as well as research. Sorry, everyone. Next slide, please. All right, so at UC, we are here to empower your students. So we offer support services everywhere for undocumented students to first generation, veterans. So again, there are resources everywhere from academic to personal, as well as financial and legal advising. Next slide, please.
Again, technical difficulties, she'll be right with us as soon as the dog is out. This would be a good time if you have any Q&A questions, go ahead and click on the Q&A box and ask your questions there. Our colleagues from the University of California system will be answering those questions.
Okay, everyone, so we'll do this really brief. So how do I get admitted to UC? Yes, and I see in the chat who let the dogs out. Yes. All right, so at the University of California, to be eligible, next slide, please. We do have 2 minimum admissions requirements for first year. So I will focus on the first year admissions requirements and then discuss the transfer after. So the first requirement is GPA. So students applying out of high school must have a minimum GPA of a 3.0. And that GPA is only calculated from the summer after freshman year until the summer before senior year. So what that means is, yes, for all of you who are freshmen, your first year in high school, those courses are not calculated in the GPA, but they are part of the review. And in terms of subject requirement, we do require the A through G. So a quick show in the chat, if you know what A through Gs are, hopefully you do. So we do have a select set of courses at each high school that are UC approved. So of course that will be your English, your math, your science, as well as your foreign language, your college prep courses. So those courses will complete and be calculated as part of your UC GPA to be a 3.0. So any courses like physical education, those are not calculated as part of your GPA. Next slide, please. So as a public university, we are all about accessibility as well as equity. So what that means is if you're in the top 9% of graduates in California or graduates within your respective high school, you can actually be guaranteed admission to UC. So what that means is we calculate your GPA. So a lot of your schools, if they are part of the eligibility and local context program, so they participate in that program, they will send your transcripts and we will calculate the top GPA at your school. So this is again a way for you to be guaranteed admission to a UC campus if you are in the top 9%. Next slide, please. So you're like, okay, I meet the GPA, I have well above a 3.0, I have all my A through G courses. So you're probably wondering, how can I be competitive to apply to UC? What will make me look? What are some factors that you're looking for? So of course there's eligibility, but what we have is called selection. So next slide, please. We're looking for many things outside of your classroom setting. So what we're looking for: leadership, we're looking for dedication, commitment. So depending how many hours you input into your clubs, your sports, community service, that will help us determine, can you handle that when you come to UC? Can you be a full-time student while also conducting and engaging in research, having leadership positions? So again, our admissions process is not just one factor. We look at many things outside of your GPA, as well as how rigorous and challenging your courses are. So if any of you have siblings, and so all of us, of course, we're staying at home. So if you're babysitting your younger sibling, that's called tutoring. You can put that in the application. So again, leadership is not just only at your school. It could be at home. It could be at your community, your church, your parish. It could be if you work. So again, leadership is very subjective in that sense. And we also understand that there are some challenges, especially as with here the current pandemic, there are a lot of challenges that are posed. So this is where students, if you feel that you were affected, you can input that in the application as well. So back in March, due to COVID-19, and as well as a lot of your schools are transitioning to the online virtual setting, we understand. And so we are trying to mitigate that, where we are temporarily suspending the letter grade requirement for all A through G courses. So what that means is, in order to be eligible, you need at least a C or a 70% or higher. But because of COVID and everyone's transitioning, we are allowing schools or students, so all California students, to select a pass or credit option for your courses. And that is allowed for winter, spring, and summer 2020. Next slide, please. And this is, as I just mentioned here. So again, if you're probably asking about fall, UC has not released any decision on that yet. Again, we made this decision because it was such a sudden change for all of us. Next slide, please. So another big change that happened for our students in terms of the admissions process, and some of you may already be aware, we are no longer, or we are suspending the standardized test requirement. So for many of you who have applied to UC already, are UC alum, or just in general applied to college, you probably recall or remember taking the SAT or ACT. So UC has suspended that requirement up until fall 2024. And effective immediately, we are no longer requiring the essay or writing portion. So if you're sitting for the exam, you do not need to sit for the essay writing portion. Next slide, please. So what does that look like, and how does that play in your review of your application? So for fall 2021 and 2022, so for our current seniors and juniors, submitting scores is optional for you all. So campuses may consider scores as part of our review, but like I said earlier, scores are only one factor in our selection process. There are 14 factors, both academic and personal. And then for our current junior or sophomores and freshmen, UC is going test blind. So what that means is we are not using scores in consideration of your application. All right, and then for fall 2025 and onwards, UC may decide to remove the standardized test requirement, or we may create our own test. So you'll hear more about that in the future. Next slide. All right, so quick info about transferring to UC. As I mentioned earlier, a third of our students are coming from California community colleges. We are, again, our priority is to have a pipeline to UC. So every 2 freshmen we enroll at UC, we enroll 1 transfer student. So again, we have a lot of opportunities for transfer students to come to UC. So for example, from College of the Sequoias, Fresno City College, we have transfer admission guarantee. What that means is 6 of the 9 campuses are guaranteeing you admissions as a transfer student if you have a certain GPA and you complete certain requirements geared towards your major. So it's pretty awesome. There's a lot of pathways for that. Next slide, please. So we quickly want to talk about the application process. For our current seniors, application has been open since August 1st. You have the month of November to submit and file your application. There is a fee of $70. However, there is a fee waiver available in the application. You apply up to 4 campuses with the fee waiver. And UC does not have early decision or early action. So typically what that means is you'll be notified of your admissions decision in the month of March. Next slide, please. Now we'll talk about cost of attendance and financial aid, because we believe that this is important, especially as a public university. We want to ensure that you have accessibility to our campuses. So next slide. And you're probably wondering why we're talking about our graduation and retention rates in financial aid. Well, that is because at UC, our students graduate within 4 years as a freshman and a little over 2 years as a transfer student. And as you can see here, 92% of our students return after their first year of enrollment at UC. So how is this related to financial aid? What this means is our students are graduating in a quickly manner. So that means you save a lot more money over time because graduation rates are not postponed. Next slide. And our total cost of attendance at UC is roughly $36,000 to $40,000 per year. However, that cost of attendance may not be the same for everyone. In terms of room and board, it will vary at each campus, but just know that tuition and fees is the same throughout the entire system. What will vary each campus is the cost of room and board, as well as books and supplies and other personal expenses. But next slide, please. But what that means is don't worry, because not all students have to pay that full amount. As you can see here, almost 60% of our students pay $0 in tuition, and 70% receive some kind of aid through grants and scholarships. So that's big results for California students. And you can see here the debt, the national average debt is almost 10 grand higher than UC. So UC is 21 versus national is 30. And here's some quick resources. And as Paige mentioned, you can access this later on or tomorrow. But again, thank you. Next slide, please. If you have any further questions, Liz and I will be in the chat to answer your questions. And if you have any other questions, feel free to take a photo, next slide please, of our contact information as well, should you have further questions about the financial aid process, the admissions process. As Liz mentioned, she is the regional rep for your area, so she's more than happy to meet with you and provide advising appointments. Next slide, please. So this is our contact information. Again, thank you everybody, and apologies for the delay in the presentation.
And thank you so much for helping us out tonight. And like she said, she will be able to answer more questions on the Q&A. If you want to go down to that icon at the bottom of your screen, you can put your questions in there. And just a reminder, we're not going to be using the chat or raise your hand features during this presentation, but we are strictly sticking with the Q&A. So next, let's see, we have Fresno State joining us. So let me pull up theirs. And so I'd like to go ahead and roll this over right now to Maribel and Kim. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Paige. Well, here in Fresno, we love dogs, and we are especially fond of bulldogs. Thank you, Visalia Unified, for having us and letting us share some information about Fresno State and the fall 2021 admissions process and requirements. My name is Kim Self. I am the Associate Director for Admissions and Recruitment. Moving on. In 2019, Fresno State's total enrollment was over 24,000 students. Fresno State offers 70 bachelor's degrees, 44 master's degrees, and 3 doctoral programs located on a 388-acre campus. Our campus, back one.
It's a little jumpy. That's
okay. That's fine. Here is our most popular majors of 2020. Please note that pre-health is the entry pathway to the following majors: nursing, kinesiology, exercise science, health science, community health, and social work. This year, we made history. Fresno State had over 15,000 applicants and 3,800 enrolled, making this the largest incoming freshman class. Next slide.
I apologize. It's a little jumpy on the
That's
response.
okay. I'll follow you. All right. We also made history in our transfer population. 6,600 applicants and 2,850 enrolled, making this the largest transfer class. Our admission cycle was interrupted by COVID-19. Our campus responded by offering 60 webinars, keeping students engaged and guiding them into the fall 2020 semester. We extended deadlines and limited the number of students on campus, implementing mandatory temperature checks. Next slide. Back one more page. There we go. Fresno State is also an impacted campus. The programs listed above are impacted, and applicants for fall 2020 had to meet requirements above the CSU minimum. The same holds true for transfer programs listed above. At this time, I will turn it over to Maribel Olea, our lead coordinator for first-time freshmen. She will discuss fall 2021 requirements and next steps. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. For fall 2021, the CSU requirements are the following. Students must complete 15 units in A through G college preparatory courses with a C- or higher letter grade. The student must graduate from high school or equivalent. The new changes for fall 2021, the minimum CSU GPA is a 2.50 GPA for California high schools and a 3.00 GPA for non-California high school graduates. SAT test scores will not be utilized towards the calculation of the admission score. SAT/ACT test scores can be used towards placement in English and math. For California high school students with a 2.00 to 2.49 GPA, supplemental factors may be utilized if campuses choose to admit below the CSU minimum GPA. For non-California high school students with a 2.47 to 2.99, supplemental factors may also be utilized. if campuses choose to admit. Next slide, please. Fresno State is an impacted campus, which means we may require a higher GPA than 2.50 at the campus level and for specific programs. Fresno State will determine eligibility using an admission score calculated using the GPA earned from the A through G college prep courses. Local students who have a 2.00 GPA or above will automatically receive an additional 100 points towards their admission score. Visalia Unified School District is considered local. For a list of local areas, please visit our website. If Fresno State has the capacity to admit more students below the 2.50 GPA, the following supplemental factor may be considered. Additional A through G college prep courses above the required 15 units with a C- or higher letter grade. The advantage point value has yet to be determined, as well as the point value for additional A through G course prep courses. Please visit our website by going to www.gotofresnostate.com for the latest updates. Next slide, please. Here we have two hypothetical scenarios. The first scenario is a local student with a 2.50 GPA. The GPA would be multiplied by 800, which equals 2,000. The student will receive an additional 100 points for being local. When all points are added, the student now has an admission score of 2,100. The second scenario is a local student who has a 2.30 GPA. This scenario goes back to what I mentioned earlier. For California high school, students with a 2.00 to 2.49 GPA, a supplemental factor may be utilized if we have capacity to admit more students. The GPA would be multiplied by 800, which equals 1,840. In this case, the student is short 160 points. The student will receive an additional 100 points for being local. Now, the student is only short 60 points. A supplemental factor is being utilized, as you can see. The student has 2 additional A through G courses. Each additional course receives 50 points, which totals 100 points. When all the points are added, the student now has a score of 2,040. Please keep in mind we are still trying to get this information vetted by the enrollment team and the university cabinet, but we are wanting to give everyone an idea of how the admission scores may be calculated. This information is subject to change. Make sure to visit our website for the most current information by going to www.gotofresnostate.com. Next slide, please. We offer various types of support to assist in completing the Cal State Apply application through webinars that are now listed on our website. There are specific webinars for SMIC Camp Scholarship under the event page. We also have an awesome team who offers live chat, Zoom, and phone support from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Make sure to visit our website by going to www.gotofresnostate.com for more information. Next slide, please. The top 4 common errors made on the Cal State Apply application is selecting the correct term. Select Fall 2021 when applying. Set the extended profile correctly. Many students select the incorrect applicant status. For example, many select returning because they took a course through dual enrollment at Fresno State. So they believe they are returning to Fresno State. Or the student will select graduate. Graduate is specific to a student who has completed a bachelor's degree and now they are trying to complete their master's degree. Enter your Social Security and SSID. Statewide identifier. It is a unique 10-digit number that all K-12 public school students are required to have. Many students can find the SSID on their high school transcript or they can ask their high school counselor for their ID. Select the correct campus. 2 application tips I would like to point out is selecting your major wisely. Students will be allowed to select a primary major and an alternate major. This is very important for students to research before selecting both majors. If a student does not qualify under the primary major due to the major being impacted, then if capacity permits, we will look at the alternate major. Create an account with California colleges. There are many schools who are affiliates and upload student official grades into the California colleges. Once the student links California colleges with the Cal State Apply application, it transfers all the high school coursework, and it's less work for your student to manually have to enter all high school coursework. Make sure to also add Fresno State admissions in your California college account under connections. Next slide, please. The next steps once Cal State Apply application is submitted. Step 1, create your Fresno State Gmail account. Students will receive an email communication with their student ID within 7 to 10 days of submitting an application. Set your spam filter to accept emails from @mail.fresnostate.com. Make sure your student does not unsubscribe from our email because they will not receive email communication from Fresno State regarding their admission status, nor reminders for document deadlines. Step 2, meet document deadlines. The first document deadline is February 1st. Official AP test scores taken prior to senior year are due. Official electronic transcripts for all dual enrollment courses showing spring 2021 in progress and prior courses are also due. Step 3, check to-do list by going to the student portal. I recommend students to check their student portal 1 to twice a week just to make sure that they are not missing any documents that need to be submitted. Students are also able to check their admission status. Next slide, please. The FAFSA and DREAM Act application becomes available October 1st. Scholarship application also opens October 1st through March 2nd. Next slide, please. This is our admissions critical date card for fall 2021 for first-time freshmen. This card can be downloaded from our website under deadlines by visiting us at www.gotofresnostate.com. Next slide, please. This slide shows a high-level overview of how it will look from the beginning to the end of the admission timeline. The application filing period starts October 1st through December 4th. This year, the application deadline has been extended. By April 1st, students should have received communication from Fresno State regarding their admissions status. For those who were conditionally admitted, can accept admissions, register, and pay for dog day orientation starting March 15th through May 1st. Dog day orientation, which is our new orientation, begins in June for all newly admitted freshmen. Next slide, please. Make sure to save the date for our virtual open house on November 5th. Registration will be made available on our website soon and will be promoted through the high schools. There will be different workshops providing information regarding housing, student life, different support programs on campus, and much more. Students will also be able to meet our faculty, staff, and the funnest of all, meet Victor E., our live mascot. Next slide, please. Our office hours are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. You will find our admission and recruitment phone number and email addresses. Our recruitment office offers pre-admission appointments, live chat, virtual campus tours, high school ambassador support, and Zoom presentation. Make sure to visit our website by going to www.gotofresnostate.com. This concludes our presentation. We look forward to working with the next generation of Bulldogs. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Maribel, thank you so much. I just wanted to note that these are the CSU Fresno State's fall requirements for 2021. All other CSUs have their own requirements, so please check their webpage.
Kim, Maribel, thank you very much. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Paige.
Okay, we're going to go back and we're going to join up right now with COS. And we have Brenda from the Welcome Center at COS. And I'd like to welcome Brenda and the information she brings us.
Thank you so much, Paige. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda Contreras. I am a Student Support Services Specialist from College of the Sequoias. And I just want to thank you all for being here with us tonight. I think, like Wendy had said earlier, this is a really exciting time for our high school seniors preparing to go to college. And we're not going to let COVID-19 get in the way of that excitement. So I'm super excited to see all the support on this Zoom call tonight. And so I just want to go ahead and start off by talking about the 3 campuses that we have at College of the Sequoias. So we are a district. We have 3 locations, as you will see on the screen: Visalia, Tulare, and Hanford. When the student submits their application to College of the Sequoias, it's one application, so you do not have to choose Visalia, Tulare, or Hanford. The student will be able to choose whichever campus they would like to take classes at. So it's one application, one district, but we do have 3 locations. So just whichever location is closest to you, or whichever location has the program that you're looking for, that's where you will register. And since this is Visalia Unified School District, I believe most of you will choose the Visalia campus for your classes. But again, you're open to take classes on the Hanford and Tulare campuses as well. So some giant facts. In the 2018-19 school year, we had 16,795 students across all 3 campuses. And so as you can see, the unit load, 57% of those students were considered part-time, and 40% of those students were considered full-time. Now at COS, full-time means you're taking 12 units or more every semester, okay? So as you can see by the data, there are a lot of students that do take classes as part-time students. And then our age distribution, I believe it was 39%. The majority of our students are under the age of 20. So that is our incoming freshmen. That's all of you, and our concurrent and dual enrollment students as well. All right, so what does the community college have to offer in terms of educational options? Well, at College of the Sequoias, there are 3 main pathways that you can choose from. The first being a certificate. So if you are a student looking to earn a certificate, you're only doing your major coursework. You're looking to improve a skill or to get some sort of job training to enter the workforce. So when you earn a certificate, you'll be certified to work in a certain area, improve a skill, and then you'll go from there. So a certificate, an example would be our welding program, our graphic design program, courses like that, more hands-on, more vocational. Our associate degree, it's the same major coursework, but now you're adding an extra layer of general education on top of your major coursework. So an associate's degree can take about 2 years, sometimes more, depending on the rigor of the degree, but that's our associate's degree that we offer as well. You can also choose to transfer to a 4-year university, so you can satisfy your general education requirements for the CSU and or the University of California systems at COS, and then transfer to the university as a junior level student. So our admissions for fall of 2021 will open October 1st on our website, cos.edu. I do want to point out, so in a normal school year, we we as in us specialists at COS, we go out to your high schools and we are in your classrooms, we're in your libraries, in your cafeterias, helping students through the workshop, through the counseling appointments, through registration. But this year, unfortunately, we will not be able to be in person and we will have to do everything online. And so we are creating a series of application videos, application tutorial videos that I believe will be very, very essential and very helpful for all of our students applying. So look out for that. It should go out to your high schools. Oops, can we go back to the other slide page? Thank you. Okay, and on top of the application tutorial videos that we will be creating, we are also going to host virtual workshops over Zoom and provide phone support too. That will be per high school. Every high school will have its own dates, its own times, according to how each high school would like to schedule their own dates and times. So my biggest piece of advice for you right now is to check your email. Students and parents, check your email because we will be sending a lot of information via your email inbox. Okay, so each high school will have their own workshops and their own support staff to be there to answer any of those questions. Sorry, Paige, can we go back again? Okay, and really quickly also for the application, there's a little list there of things that you will need. I always put this in my slideshows. Students do need an emergency contact for their application. Your high school transcript, but that will be having CCGI access will help us out a lot with the high school transcript on our COS application. Also on the application, it will ask you to list an idea, it will ask you to list a major and an educational goal. So just how I went over the associate's degree, certificate, or transfer. Please note that what you list on your application is not set in stone. You can change it in the future if you would like to at COS. You would just have to meet with a counselor to do so. 24 hours after you apply to College of the Sequoias, you do receive a COS banner ID and a COS email address. So at College of the Sequoias, you will also, once you apply as a student, you will also have a student issued email, kind of like you have one for your high school. You'll also get one for COS. So once you apply and you receive this information, make sure you keep it somewhere safe, write it down, take note of it so you don't lose it. And if you were a student that did dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment with us at College of the Sequoias, that information will not change. Your banner ID does not change. Your email address for COS does not change. However, you do need to submit a new application to the college, letting us know that now you're coming in as a first-time student, first-time freshman, and that you're no longer going to be in high school. So that's a quick note for our dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment students. Okay, so the first step is to submit the application. The second step that you will complete is to meet with one of our counselors at COS. So in March, when we all started working remotely, our students, our seniors last semester, we had to switch their counseling appointments, which are normally in an office on one of the 3 campuses. We had to switch those appointments to be on the phone or over something called Cranium Cafe, which is like Zoom. So for spring of 2021, we're not sure if we will be back in person or not for COS. So right now I plan for phone appointments or Cranium Cafe to meet with our counselors. And this will start in January, February of 2021. How do I schedule an appointment? Well, students, you will have access to self-schedule yourself online starting around February 2021. And so you'll be able to schedule your own appointment online. That part will not change whether we are back in person or not. You will schedule yourself online. That is for sure. What happens during my appointment? Well, the counselor will sit down with you and ask, what would you like to complete at COS? Would you like an associate's degree? Would you like a certificate? would you like to transfer to a four-year university? And based on your conversation with the counselor, they will go ahead and advise you on classes to register for. I like to point out that when you meet with a counselor, so when you sit down or when you meet with a counselor over the phone, whatever it looks like, they are helping you, advise you on your classes. They are not registering you for classes. So please remember that when you do go to your counseling appointment, that this is not registration, this is just advising counseling. And so you'll get ready for priority registration. So at College of the Sequoias, for all of our seniors, at the end of April, we do hold priority registration. And our date is not set in stone yet, but please rest assured we will send out save the dates for our priority registration weekend, which is always at the end of April. And at this event, you will be able to register for your classes. So here is where you actually get to sign up for your COS classes and walk away with your class schedule for fall of 2021. So going back again to last semester, 2020 STEPS event, we had to go virtual. So what we did was we created registration videos, tutorials, and we sent that out to all of our students and they were able to register on their own. However, we also provided Zoom and phone support. So for those students who, if you wanted more one-on-one assistance or they were having issues registering, we did provide support as well. So again, for April of 2021, again, our high school partners, we have scheduled or we will schedule workshops with them. So you will know when to come into the Zoom or have a phone to call when you need the support. And also, I just want to go over why is priority registration important. At College of the Sequoias, our classes are very popular and they do fill up very quickly. So if you are able to register for courses before other students do, so when we open priority registration for you at the end of April, you get first pick of classes. You get first pick of classes before other students do. And that's important because again, you'll be able to make sure you have every class that you need to transfer or to graduate. And you also get to build your almost perfect class schedule. So that's why it's important to apply the COS, meet with a counselor, and then be a part of our STEPS priority registration at the end of April. Okay, and so our presentation was very general because again, we work very closely with our high schools here in Visalia and our other feeder high schools around in our surrounding areas. So please keep an eye out for your email. We will be sending out application video tutorials and provide you with Zoom support and phone support for the application process. You can stay up to date with us on social media at COS Giant, and to start looking up what majors and programs we have to offer, go to our website, cos.edu. And that is all I have for our presentation tonight. And thank you for having me.
Brenda, thank you so much. We really appreciate your help. As a reminder, I want to remind people that we're not using the raise their hand feature tonight, but we are using the Q&A. So if you do have questions, please put those in the Q&A, and we have people from COS on there that can answer those questions for you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Next, we're going to go on to COS's financial aid. Although they're representing COS, the financial aid that they're giving you tonight does represent the financial aid process no matter what college you're going to, whether it's Fresno State, Cal Poly, UC Santa Barbara. This will all apply to the same process. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and welcome David Lovren, Liv Henry, and Madison Jones. David, are you there? Give us just a moment as we work through the technical difficulties. Sorry.
Hi everyone, this is Madison. I can take over for David for now until he can work out his.
Am I back? I had my
There you
camera.
go.
I have a weird camera microphone. If the camera's locked to off, then I can't talk. So, hi everyone, David Loverin, Director, Financial Aid at COS. I'm going to do a very fast kind of Financial Aid 101, talking about the application process, talking about the different types of grants, work study loans, aid that are available through the federal option or coming from the feds, coming from the state of California. As Paige said, this is information that applies to pretty much all the colleges you may be attending. A lot of our policies and financial aid are all similar. Just check with your each, maybe a little bit different, but for the most part, we're all kind of on the same track. And again, our mission at COS, our financial aid, we do our outreach to our high schools. We're here to help families with their FAFSA or their DREAM Act applications, regardless of what colleges are in your future. So when you have questions and we're out there to help you, we are not offended when you are applying for another college. As much as we'd love you to be at COS, we're here to help all families with their financial aid needs. So let's roll right into that with the next slide, please. So we kind of go along with the mindset many of your high school counselors are sharing with students. It's important to explore the careers you're interested in and then find out what majors you need to study to do the career that you want to work when you're done with college. And then lastly, check with those colleges to make sure they have that major. You don't want to get excited about a college because of location or sports program or mascot or colors, and then get to college and find out they don't have the major that you want to study. Next slide. There are three major types of financial aid for students. The first type is grants and scholarships, which is gift aid that does not need to be earned or require repayment, except in making good academic progress, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The second type of financial aid is federal work study. When, as students, you are filling out your FAFSA application, there is a question that says, are you interested in work study? It's good to check that box, yes. And then lastly, student loans are available to students throughout the California college system. So I'll start with the application that kind of is the one-stop for everything, the FAFSA application that you hear a lot about. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. To be eligible to complete the FAFSA, you need to have U.S. citizenship and residency. So you're providing social security number, green card information, or certificate of citizenship information. And then when you fill out that FAFSA at FAFSA.gov, that one application colleges will use to determine the types of grants and aid that you are eligible for. And as you can see on this, what I call my peacock slide, there's lots of federal grants in the green, and the orange are California grants, and then colleges may have local aid available to students. So we use this one application to try to determine all the different types of money, grants, aid, help we can give to students at the college. For students who maybe aren't eligible to complete the federal application because of the citizenship, California does have the DREAM Act application option. So as a student, if you have attended California high school for 3 years and graduated from California high school and you're undocumented and are not able to complete the FAFSA application, you can complete the California DREAM Act application. And what that will do is open up opportunities for all the California financial aid that's available, and I will discuss those in a few more slides here. So I'll kind of go through the federal financial aid that's out there for students. Again, completing the FAFSA application, you're automatically considered for Pell Grant. And this year, the Pell Grant has an annual award of $6,345. Go to the next slide. And then the other federal work study is available to students, how I talked about on the FAFSA application. You want to, they'll ask the question to our students if you're interested in work study. We always recommend students click yes. Jobs on campus are a great thing. You can do classes in the morning, go to an office or a job on campus, work for a few hours, do some afternoon classes, spend your day on campus. You're not having to leave campus, drive across town, fight traffic, fight parking lot situations, and run back and forth. So it's a chance to earn money while you're going to school, get great job experience, and kind of stay local on campus and get to know the people on campus. And then the third option through the federal program are the student loans. We have subsidized and unsubsidized loans. The difference being how interest is accrued. So if a student wants to do a subsidized loan, say the student borrows $5,000 when they start college, you do not have to make any payments on that loan while you're attending college. Payment begins after you've graduated. So with a subsidized loan, interest does not accrue the whole time you're in school. So if you borrow $5,000 and then once you graduate and you go to repayment, you have a $5,000 loan to pay back. With unsubsidized loans, everything is the same. You don't have to make any payments. However, interest does accrue while you're in college. So you may start with a $5,000 loan, and then once you graduate and start repayment, that loan balance might be higher because of the interest that is accrued. Students do have the option to pay the interest while they're in college. So that may be a smaller amount to keep up with if you want to keep your principal balance the same. Interest rates have really dropped down this year. 2.75 is the current rate. So it's a good deal going this year. Another loan option, this one is for parents. If you are interested in going further into debt for your children, parents can also take out plus loans, and the interest rate's a little bit higher at 5.3% this year, but it's another option if you need to borrow some more money. Parents can borrow some money and help out that way. So with the other loans, the federal subsidized and unsubsidized loans, those are student loans in the student's name, the student's responsibility to pay back. Plus loans are for parents if they want to borrow some extra money. Some people, sometimes there's rumors out there about attendance being full-time. So in the world of financial aid, 12 units or more is considered full-time. So you would receive a full-time Pell payment if you were in 12 or more units. However, in colleges, and especially in community colleges, like I say, some students where Brenda talked about at a community college, a big portion of students are part-time students. So maybe they're taking 6 to 9 units a semester and working part-time. And it taking a little bit more time to finish their degree, they can do that. We just prorate the federal award. So if you are eligible for a Pell Grant and you're taking 9 units, we just take 75% of that total Pell Award and prorate it down that way. So you're not penalized for being part-time. The only thing to consider is with some of the California or with loans, you must be in at least 6 units to receive federal loans, and you must be in at least 6 units to be receiving Cal Grant A, B, or C awards, or I guess at a community college, a Cal Grant B and a Cal Grant C. So that's the only time that may be an issue, but otherwise we would prorate the award. So those moving into California grants, we talked about federal, you felt the FAFSA, federal grants across the nation if you're going to schools, throughout the United States. But now as we're focusing on our California, our UCs, our CSUs, and our community colleges, California has the Cal Grant program through the California Student Aid Commission. Cal Grant A is available to students attending CSUs and UCs. And you can see that in the notes there, at CSU, it kind of covers the tuition and fees. So $5,700 at a CSU, $12,000 at a UC, and then varying amounts at the private and nonprofits. Students graduating from high school need to have a minimum 3.0 GPA to be eligible for a Cal Grant A. And then if a student does decide to attend a community college for 2 years and then transfer to a 4-year, they can put their Cal Grant A award on hold with the Student Aid Commission. And then once they've transferred to a 4-year college, they can resume that Cal Grant and receive it at the college. The Cal Grant B is a supplemental award that can be added to the Cal Grant A at 4-year institutions, or is available to community college students to help with books and living expenses. And students coming out of high school just need to have a minimum 2.0 GPA to be eligible for the Cal Grant B award. And then lastly, the Cal Grant C is available at vocational colleges and at community colleges for students going into vocational programs, such as like in the picture there, welding or nursing programs that serve the vocational purpose. And then note that at the very top where it says apply by March 2nd. So you've seen notes today where the FAFSA application and the DREAM Act application do open up on October 1st, and where those applications may be open throughout the school year. It's very important that students complete the applications by March 2nd to be eligible for these Cal Grants. So that is the California deadline. There's no federal deadline, but there's a California deadline. And you can see where a Cal Grant A will pay your tuition and fees at a CSU or UC. You don't want to miss that March 2nd deadline and then be having to come up with money out of pocket to pay the $12,000, say, for a UC tuition. At the UC, there's a Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. So for families with income less than $80,000, and that will pay the tuition and fees at a University of California campus. So that's something that's available. A few years back, Governor Brown initiated the middle class scholarship. And so for families, again, attending a CSU and a UC campus, whose income is up to $184,000 or less, it's a sliding scale, but they can be awarded up to $5,000 at a UC or $2,200 to help with expenses at a CSU. And then we talked about the FAFSA application, where some of our Dreamer students may not be eligible to complete the federal application. If they do complete the California Dream Act application, they would be eligible for Dream loans through the California system, and the Dream loans match the annual percentage rate of the federal loans. So it's currently 2.75%. Now moving on to some of the programs unique to community colleges, the California College Promise Grant is a fee waiver that's awarded to students that covers that $46 per enrollment fee. So for example, if a student is taking 15 units in a semester and it's $46 per unit, their fees would be $690 or close to $1,400 annually. The California College Promise Grant will waive that fee so that the classes are essentially paid for, and then any additional aid the student receives goes directly to the student to help them out. And now, where we have the California College Promise Grant, we also have California College Promise, which is Assembly Bill 19, passed, I think, in 2017, which was designed when we had a lot of talk out there about free college for all. So the intent of this bill was to help families who maybe not qualify for financial aid. You fill out a FAFSA application, family income is too high to qualify for Pell Grant or Cal Grant. So if that family wanted to go to a community colleges can use this money to help students that don't qualify for financial aid to pay those fees, those $46, those enrollment fees, and help them out. The way the law is written, colleges have a lot of flexibility in what they can do with the funds. So there's 116 community colleges in the state of California, and if you're planning to attend one of those, check with that college to see what they have in the way of a promise program for students. It can be different at every college. At COS, last year we're a reimbursement where students had to pass their classes first and then get the money reimbursed. But moving forward this year, we have switched over to where a brand new student graduating from high school coming into COS, if they fill out a FAFSA application, they're not eligible for aid, and they're a brand new student, we will waive their fees as long as they're maintaining full-time enrollment of 12 units or more for their first 4 semesters. So like I talked about grants like Pell Grant and Cal Grant being free aid money that you don't have to pay back. This is the one condition. There's that rule that pops up. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So as a student, the federal government wants you to pass your classes and complete your degree and go off and get a job and be a tax-paying citizen in your community. So all colleges that have federal grants have to have a satisfactory academic progress policy. And most of us have this pretty much the same policy where students must maintain a 2.0 grade point average, and they must pass at least 67% of the units that they're attempting. So if they're not keeping up with that, students can be disqualified from their financial aid, lose their aid, or and if they're dropping classes, they may have to pay that money back. And then for high school students that are doing dual or concurrent enrollment, that's very important that the student takes that seriously, because if a student's not taking that seriously and they're not passing the classes they're taking in high school that are dual enrollment, they could end up, if they wanted to go to COS later, start off at COS with poor academic progress because they've not been passing their classes and then have problems with their financial aid. So just some tips that we throw out there to help parents out as you're getting ready to do your FAFSA application. What kind of information do you need to collect? So first, parents and students are going to want to grab or need to get an FSA ID. So when you go to the FAFSA website where the application is, there's a link there to start with an FSA ID. So the student and one parent will have one of those. You'll want to collect your W-2s and tax information. And for the application opening October 1st, you'll want to collect your 2019 tax information. You'll want to have a list of the colleges you're interested in attending. You'll want to put those on the FAFSA. If you don't put the college down on the FAFSA application, that college is not allowed to see your FAFSA, and then they can't offer you a financial aid package to consider. Other things to consider, males who are 18 must register for selective service to be eligible for federal aid. So the FAFSA will ask the boys when they are filling out the FAFSA if they're 18, if they've registered, and if they haven't, we'll give them the option to click a button and the FAFSA application will automatically register them. Also, there's a rule in financial aid. Sometimes students will come to us and say, hey, I'm 20 years old. I don't live with mom and dad. I have my own apartment. I pay my own bills. I'm paying for my own way. Why do I need to put my parents' income information on my FAFSA? The federal government says that students must be dependent to their parents until the age of 24 for financial aid purposes. And through the age of 24 parents must provide their income information along with any student income information on the FAFSA. There are exceptions where a student can be independent under the age of 24 if they've had a child, if they're married, served in the military, foster youth, homeless, emancipated from their parents, or if there's a court document guardianship to somebody other than the parents, then that would let the child stand on their own as an independent student. Creating the FSA ID, just so again, some helpful information here. You're going to enter information exactly as it appears on your Social Security card. And sometimes we have people with hyphenated last names or two last names that they're using that aren't hyphenated. So we have little pictures down there. If you've got the last name that is not hyphenated, then it's the very last name on the Social Security card that is entered for the FSA ID. If it is hyphenated, then include the entire hyphenated last name. Because when you do your FAFSA application, it goes through the Federal Department of Education, Homeland Security, Social Security Administration, Selective Service, a lot of agencies that gets kind of checked before it shows up at the college for processing. Also important for high school students, create an email address that's outside of your high school. So use Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, whatever you've got, but don't create FSA ID and complete your FAFSA with your high school email address, because every year you're in college, you need to complete a FAFSA application for every next year. And you may be fine this year, but then next year you go to do your application and the high school has deleted your email address, and then you're having trouble getting logged in with your FSA ID because your email's been canceled. You can go next slide. After you've applied, the Department of Education will give you a confirmation email. It'll show you what we call an EFC, or expected family contribution. This is kind of that important number that says, what am I eligible for? The lower the amount, the higher your financial aid eligibility. So a 0 EFC is the best case scenario. You'll get the most aid, and then that number can climb from there. Also, and very important to check your email, about 30% of FAFSA applications get randomly selected for verification. It's kind of like a mini audit. If you get selected for verification, you didn't do anything wrong, there's no red flags, it's completely random, but you might be asked to turn in additional documents such as copies of tax returns, copies of your high school diploma to verify that you've graduated from a high school, things like that. So always check your email, watching for information from the college to make sure they don't need any additional information from you. If they do, get that to them as soon as you can over the summer so that they can have your financial aid package and ready to go for the start of school, and there's no delays in giving you your financial aid. Summer school, something to consider, especially, again, community college students. A lot of times we consider summer our last semester. So we're in the current year with a FAFSA application for the 2021 school year. We use 2018 taxes. If you think you might go to summer school before starting fall semester, go ahead and do a current year 2021 FAFSA at the same time you do your 21-22 FAFSA for the following year. That way, in summer school, we can consider you for either fee waivers or maybe a little bit of Pell Grant to help with those books. And you won't be sitting there going, wait a second, my aid's all packaged for fall, but I'm having to pay for classes in the summer. So check again with your school where their summer school session falls, and if you maybe need to do a current year FAFSA as well as a next year FAFSA. Scholarships are something to consider too. As high school students, work with your high school counselors. They have lots of options for you in your scholarship world. At COS, we have scholarships for incoming students. Our application opens near early October and closes late November. And then, so it's a very small window and it's very early in the fall because you're not really thinking about it till next year. So if you're looking at colleges, check out what they have in the way of scholarships, work with your counselors so you don't miss any opportunities that way to get a little bit of extra money. And then just kind of wrapping up, again, just being aware of the career goals you have and that the degree is at the college you want to go to is offered. Remember that October 1st is the key date to apply for your FAFSA application. March 2nd is the key deadline you want to complete the application so you don't miss out on any Cal Grant opportunities. Check your emails and communications from the colleges that you apply to. Once you do get confirmation of where you want to go to college with the Cal Grant and the California Student Aid Commission, they'll have you create what they call a web grants account. You want to confirm the college you're attending so they know where to send your Cal Grant to. Turn in all paperwork, and then lastly, maintain that good academic progress so you don't lose that financial aid that you've worked so hard for. And then our last slide to wrap it up. Again, we're here to help families, regardless of where they want to go. Our outreach is to help with financial aid applications. It's the start of our semester, so our phone lines and our emails are buried with student questions. But come October, when we start working on thinking about the FAFSA next year, things should be calmed down. We should be available to help you. We are posting, I think Mrs. Lovren at Visalia Unified is posting this information on your web pages. We will be posting this information on the COS web page. This presentation, as well as, like Brenda mentioned, for admissions, we'll also be trying to create some FAFSA videos to help parents through the FAFSA process so they can get started, and then maybe have some Zoom room nights for your high schools where we can be available to answer questions if you're stuck on things. So, and again, in a year where we can't be with you face to face and doing those workshops with your students, we're trying our best to create the best alternatives to help you get all this stuff done and get ready for college next year. And that's a wrap. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David and Liv and Madison from COS. We really appreciate all your time and your information. Okay, so moving on. All right, so we're going to move on to the last part of our presentation tonight. I'm going to go over some basic information for you just to kind of help keep things organized for you. Talk about common application a little bit, letters of recommendation, things like that you'll need to know going through the whole process. So you heard from all the campuses today that a lot of information will be coming your way. So the key to that is keeping organized. So I really recommend to students that you get either an accordion file or a 3-inch binder with tabs so that you can keep all the information that's coming your direction in one spot. Your high school student, as they fill out their college applications, will need to know their SEEB number. This is the number that's attached to their school. We have listed out here the Visalia Unified high schools for Redwood, Whitney, VTech, Golden West, and El Diamante. So you'll want to know that number. Your student will want to construct a resume, and we'll go through that in a few minutes. You'll want an unofficial transcript to work off as you fill out your college applications. You'll want one tab for your FAFSA and your profile. We'll go over the profile in a little bit here. And also then one section for each college that you're applying to. So as information comes into you, you can put it in one spot. As our representatives were talking, you're going to probably have to have an email account for each school that you're applying to. They'll have you create one with their system. And so you'll want to write those down in passwords and have it where you can easily access it and not have to keep it from memory. Also, you'll want to have your fee waivers or mom and dad's credit card to pay for the application fees as you go through. If you have questions about fee waivers, please reach out to your counselor or learning director, and they can guide you on those fee waivers. Timeline. So keeping on top of dates and due dates is vital. Colleges will not accept a day late college application, and so you'll want to be aware of dates and as you go through. As we know, the SAT, ACT, most colleges are not going to require that, and I'll go into a little more depth in a minute about that. But right now, your students should be working, if they're on their personal insight questions, if they're applying to a UC. All of our students should be working on some type of resume, and we'll go through some suggestions on that. The resume can be used when you're applying for scholarships. It can also be used as your, sorry, distraction here with the hands up. The resume can also be used when you're asking for letters of recommendation. The UC application has already opened. The common application, which is used with most private colleges, has also opened. And then if you happen to be attending one of these colleges that is still requiring the SATs, the last date most colleges will accept test dates is December. But as we go through this, you're going to see that most colleges are not requiring that SAT, ACT. In October, the Cal State Apply for the CSUs opens. You can submit starting October 1st and no later than November 30th. November, the UC start accepting applications as of November 1st and no later than November 30th. What I advise students is do not submit your application online the day of that it's due. There have been cases where their systems have crashed because everyone waits till the last minute. And then students call them on December 1st and said, well, I tried to get it in, but it crashed. And usually the answer has been, I'm so sorry, but we will not accept a late application. So my advice to you is to make sure that you submit early. Don't wait till the day it's due. Private colleges, their due dates will vary from November to January, and you'll want to check on those dates on their websites. Also, when you do the common application, it will post those dates as well. Your FAFSA, as we just heard, is due by March 2nd in order to be considered for Cal grants. Admission letters are typically mailed to students by the end of March. So you can expect to know what colleges that accepted you by the end of March. In April, the colleges that you were accepted to will send you their financial aid packages. So you'll be able to compare packages and see which colleges is giving you the best offer. And then you have the obligation to reply and let the college know by May 1st that you're coming. If you don't let them know by May 1st, basically they'll take that as a sign that you're not coming and they may give that spot to another student. So you want to make sure that you let them know that you're coming, and that usually also requires a deposit at that time for housing if you're going to be living in student housing. By June, you'll want to send your official transcript from your high school to the college that you will be attending. Admission tests. So this has been the big question all day, all year. Because of COVID, most juniors start taking their SATs around March. And of course, we all know that by March 13th, everything was shut down, including SAT exams. The UCs, CSUs, even the Ivy Leagues are not requiring the SAT or ACT this year. Like I said, this PowerPoint will be on our website. I've got 2 links here. You can click on those and it will list out colleges that are not requiring the SAT and ACT this year. Private colleges. So a couple things when it comes to private colleges. The first thing I usually hear from parents is they cost too much and we're not applying to the private colleges. I'd like you to encourage you to consider private colleges and know this. Although they tend to be more expensive, they also have large endowments that their alumni have donated to. And so they're able to give a lot of merit scholarships. So sometimes the cost of the private college actually comes down to the price of what a UC would run you. For example, my daughter applied to University of San Francisco and USC. She received a letter from University of San Francisco saying we'll offer you $20,000 in merit scholarship per year. When we did the math, it actually brought it down to the price of a UC. USC offered her $16,000 a year. When we did the math, it didn't add up for us, and it was really, we found maybe out of our price range. But don't say no to a private college because you're afraid of the expense. Apply anyway, see what they offer you, and then make those big decisions. Common application. So we have this link here, and I'm going to take you to it real quick. So this is the guide for the common application, and they have videos to walk you through the whole process. There's some basic things that you're going to need to know, have ahead of time. A copy of your transcript to work off, like we discussed before. A resume listing out what your activities are, your sports, your family responsibilities, clubs. SAT, ACT, like I said, most colleges will not require that. They're going to ask a couple of questions about parents and guardians, and then also a list of your honors and achievements. If you took the PSAT, for example, and you scored high enough to be acknowledged with the National Merit Scholarship, you'll want to put that down. Colleges actually give you extra points for that. You're going to want to create an account. It's only going to take a couple of minutes. It's going to ask you things like name, address, date of birth, high school that you're attending. You're going to then add in what private colleges that you are applying to. They have a list of all their colleges on there. You simply click on it and it will link you to that college. If your college does not come up in those links, that means they are not using the common application. There are very, very, very few private colleges that are not using the common application. But if that is the case, then you'll want to go to that college's website and access their application on their website. Engage supporters. This is basically the people that will be writing you letters of recommendation. So there's a part in the common application that you will put the name and email address of those that will be writing you letters of recommendation. Typically, one of the letters will be from your counselor and 1 to 3 letters from different teachers. I will cover letters of recommendation in a few minutes. And then understanding requirements. So when you click on this video and this portion of the common application, it's going to tell you all the deadlines for their college. The application phase, what kind of essays that you need to submit. This is where you put in your courses and your grades, and any portfolio and supplemental material and your recommendations. Again, it's very basic. They have a very smooth system, and the video will kind of guide you through that. And then your essays. I'm going to show you a link in a moment that you can access right away and start working on your essays for the common application. I always recommend that you work on your essays in a Word document and then cut and paste it into your applications, whether it's a UC application or the common application, because oftentimes the application will time out and it doesn't give you enough time to construct your essay. So cut and paste on that. And then from there, you either use your fee waiver or mom and dad's credit card to pay the fee, and you submit your application. So in a nutshell, that's a common application. Know again that your counselors and learning directors are very familiar with the system, and they can guide you through it as needed. There are some programs that will need additional supplemental information. For example, if you're applying to NYU's film school, you're going to have to submit some videos. If you're applying to the drama program at UCLA, you're going to have to audition. But the common application will guide you through on what those supplemental information will be. The profile, if you're applying to a private college, you're going to fill out the FAFSA, but you're also going to fill out the profile. It's additional information that they take into account to award merit scholarships or financial scholarships. The profile is much more detailed. It's going to ask you retirement information, stocks and bonds information, that type of thing. This is something that typically students are going to need help completing. They're not going to have the information to complete it otherwise. Mom and dad are going to have to sit down and supply that information. Again, check the deadlines. Deadlines vary per college, and sometimes there can be up to 3 different deadlines for a college, a private college. Sometimes they have the deadline for scholarships, to be considered for scholarships. They have their regular deadline, and then they have early decision, early action deadlines. So, and we'll cover early decision, early action in a couple of moments. But you're going to want to take a look at those deadlines and make sure that you have that down on the calendar ready to go. Some colleges will then contact you for an interview. This is usually done with a local alumni, and they'll take an hour to meet with you and talk about what your future plans are. I recommend students just be genuine, be yourself. Good time to actually ask questions about the university, and then follow that up with a thank you letter to the interviewer. This is the link for the common application insight questions. Again, this will be on our website for the district, and you can click on there and start working on those essays right now. Make sure that you have someone else read through, and make sure that your voice that you think is coming across in those essays is actually coming across. So early decision, early action. So private colleges have early decision, early action deadlines usually that you can choose to participate in, or you can just go with the regular deadline. It's really important to know the difference between early decision and early action. Early decision is binding. That means if they accept you into their college, you're basically agreeing to drop all other colleges immediately and say, yes, I'm coming to your college. Early action is basically they let you know that you're admitted early, but then you get to wait and see what other colleges admit you on top of it. With early action, it gives you more room to negotiate. So if another college offers you a large merit scholarship, you can go back to your early action college and say, hey, they offered me this amount. Are you willing to match that or maybe even give me better? So I usually advise, unless it's absolutely the school that you have no doubt about, I would not do early decision. Early action actually gives you more power and more wiggle room. So letters of recommendation. The UCs and CUSUs do not require letters of recommendation. In fact, they won't read letters of recommendation. Private colleges, and then also for scholarships, you will need some letters of recommendation. Make sure that you talk to your teachers or your counselors well in advance. As I said before, on the common application, there will be a spot to put who is writing letters of recommendation for you. And then it shoots them an email and lets them know that the letter of recommendation is being requested of them. You don't want to put someone's name in as writing a recommendation for you and have them receive it before you've had a conversation with them. It's going to throw them off, and they're not going to have enough information to start writing that letter for you. What I would do is write your teacher an email and ask them if they're willing to write you a letter. Include one of your resumes, a cover letter, just talking about yourself, what your plans are, what you'd like to do in the future. Also maybe include your common application essays so they can get some more depth to who you are outside the classroom. Also maybe include an official transcript so they can see what kind of classes you took and what ways you challenged yourself. And give this information to them, and then give them plenty of time to write it. Like I said, common application is going to require the letters of recommendation, and when you apply for scholarships, there are some scholarships that will ask for letters as well. It's also good to have just a general resume built and ready to go. It's going to help guide you with your letters of recommendation. It's going to help guide you when you fill out the scholarship applications. So just writing down in a resume form, what do you plan to major in? What are your career plans? Summer programs that you've done, activities, clubs, works, interests. Have you been having to help your family out by taking care of younger siblings? These are all places to put this. I just wanted to make sure that you know that help is out there. Our counselors and learning directors are there for you to guide you through this whole process. Every year on the high school campuses, they have application workshops, and that won't stop this year. It may be in a different format, obviously. We'll be doing it through Zoom and other appropriate technology. But we will have a CSU application workshop, a UC application workshop, COS, FAFSA. They will all happen for your students through their high school. And basically, we'll have representatives from these institutions coming online with you and walking you through step by step how to fill out their applications. So watch your school's websites, be in contact with your counselor or learning director. Just a reminder, reach out and don't hesitate in contacting your counselor and learning director. Sometimes people expect that the counselor and learning director should always contact you. They don't have a magic crystal ball to say, oh yes, I need to call little Susie today and check in. They really need you to communicate with them. And they don't mind answering questions, every week if you have them. Just email them or call them and keep in contact, and they will help you out. All of tonight's information is on our website, and our website is kind of under construction, but it's starting to look really good. This is the Visalia Unified College and Career website. We have one area for our CTE, our Career Technical Education, and our Link Learning Academies. And then we have the College and Career website. So if you go on there and click for the class of 2021, we have a lot of tools for you. Again, a reminder, we want you to launch all of your applications, whether it's the UC, CSU, COS, or financial aid, through californiacolleges.edu. There's videos on how to launch each of these applications through California colleges. So there's one tool for you to use there. All the information from tonight is right here. So the PowerPoint in English and Spanish, the UC PowerPoint. We're in the process of loading up the Fresno State PowerPoint, and we're also going to post the video of tonight's webinar on here as well. So you have access to all of that. We've put together scholarship search engines for you. So if you do the drop down here, there's lots of options here. So you can start scrolling through and looking for scholarships and filling those out. For the common application and the videos, you just click on here and it'll take you to the website I just showed you and all the videos on the common application. We've got some bonus links here for you. So if you want to see the prompts right now for the personal insight questions for the UC, you can go to that. The common application personal statement right there. There's some different tools to help you through. Also, if you're trying to look at what colleges offer your major, there's several websites that can help you match that major and that college together. And then lastly, we have the application calendar. So again, everything that we went through in the PowerPoint, it's right here, along with the different links for you to go to. So tonight is our first ever webinar. It's been a learning process. I really want to thank everyone of our presenters that came out and gave time to us tonight. I want to do a shout out to Rick for coaching us through this whole process. And like I said, we will be posting the video of this on our website. So if you need to go back and take a look at what they said, that option will be there for you. And I thank you for joining us tonight. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to your counselors and learning directors. And thank you for being here tonight.
Hi, Kim. I mean, Paige. Hi, Paige. Um, check check your email. We're gonna have a post and ask your husband to join in on us. Okay. And it's gonna be a post thing, and I'm gonna end the show right now. Okay.
For our presenters, we're going to have a post meeting. There's an email in your, right now, go ahead and go to your email and open that up, please.
Paige, you can end the meeting now.